So Dan, you mentioned we can't have 30 mentors, and obviously we can't always surround ourselves with everybody, and you have to make decisions as to who you surround yourself with. And how have you all decided who to surround yourselves with, and how have those people help you support you and grow in business?
Don't be. It's like we call it surrender the result. So what's the worst case scenario? It's like our minds always take us to the worst place. What if he thinks I'm stupid? Or what if she doesn't like me? It's like, nobody cares. Nobody cares, right? I was talking to an astronaut one time, and he said, like, when you go into space, you realize how small you are, right? Because you look down and see all these people that you can't see. So I would just say, just showcase like who you want to be around and go up and talk to them, right? And the biggest thing is how to add value and know when you can't. So how to add value, but know when you can't, okay? So I remember joining the association, and it was like, oh, like what's, the big things? Well, you pay your membership fees and you go to all these events. Like, what's your ROI? That I get to be in a room with great people. That's my ROI, and I get to know them, and I get to see them. And Mike Collins Williams asked me for a beer one time when he's downtown Toronto because he thought of me. I was like, whoa, Mike's calling? Who am I to get a call from Mike, right? I get to go to dinner with John Anthony and Zanny. Like, what the hell? Well, just being in a room and seeing how people conduct themselves, how they act, how they offer, everybody wants to help for no return on investment. I was in this space before where it was always, I do for you, you do for me. It's like, no, the everybody in a bigger manner does for everybody what they can. And so it's like, I'll take care of me for you, which is a Jim Rohn quote, so that you can take care of you for me. And that's a big one. So I'll leave it with that.
So normally you think you want to surround yourself with people who are like you, have the same interests, and why not? That's how you get along. But I think it's also important to surround yourself, and I think, Dan, you touched upon this, is people that challenge you, people that think differently than you, but also at the end of the day, they want to cheer you on. I think that's important.
Yeah.
In my early 20s, I had a really, what I deemed as wealthy individual that I had the pleasures of being beside when we were talking business and such. And one thing that he had said that stood out, and I've carried it from that point all the way until this present day, which was the books you read and the people you meet are going to change the next 5 years of your life. That bracket of 5 years is almost not achievable because the bracket moves every year, 5 years that way. So I've always thought that the books that you read creates the knowledge, because something like a book that you see in front of you here, somebody's taken potentially 30 or 40 years to take their life knowledge and put it into one place. So I could take a month or two to read a book of that size, but somebody has spent their whole life putting all of their knowledge into something like that. So I look at people that are readers. I like to surround myself with others that seek knowledge. So maybe not in a book, maybe they read, or they watch podcasts, or they take in knowledge other ways. As far as the people you meet, that piece of advice is, again, similar to what we've heard up here already, is put yourself in rooms with people that are potentially, doing better than you or something that you look up to. That has always been a benefit when I'm seeking, surrounding myself with certain people. And one of my core things is they have to excite me. There has to be something about the individual that excites me. Are they a great family person? Are they good in business? Are they physically fit? Do they do activities? Are they spiritual? Do yoga or mental exercises? These are the type of things that when I get into conversations with people and I find little deeper rooted things about them and who they are as a character, when I find those little areas, I really try to spend time putting my efforts into building a friendship with them.
Hearing you all talk, it's so clear the importance of who you surround yourself with, and I want to keep this conversation going a bit and pin down on something very specifically. When you're facing negativity or fears or doubts, who do you turn to?
So whenever we're encountered with fears or doubts, I tend to go to people within my network. I am fortunate enough that I have select individuals within my network that I'm willing to share my fears and doubts. And I think that that's an important thing to identify. Not everybody in your life is somebody that you should be sharing your fears and doubts with. You want to trust the person that you're sharing it with, because for me at least, often when I'm sharing those fears and doubts, I'm looking for a place to vent. So I need somebody to use their ears more than their mouth. I'm looking for somebody that just wants just a soundboard for me to talk to. And if I can't find that person, I tend to go right back into books and knowledge and research on the reason why I'm feeling those fears and doubts. So it's usually people within my network I can trust, or it's literature.
So this is going to sound cheesy, but my mom. But you got to be careful, though. She'll worry too much. Probably my boyfriend, but that's because at the end of the day, that's where I'm going home and venting. And then it's the other leaders in my company that are probably in the same position as me. I'm going to call her out, and she probably doesn't even know, but Kim Bianchi is here, and she's our director of design studio. And Kim is always very positive, no matter the situation. And I think I can get stuck sometimes on very tunnel vision on certain aspects of the business. That's important to go through, talk to other people that are in the same position as you. That might just help you kind of see the light a little bit.
Yeah, I think it's a great question. And to Mike, protect these thoughts. I had an ex-girlfriend once tell me that I'm toxically positive. And I was on a little journey myself of finding who I was, and that led to positivity. And I said, okay, well, I'll try this negativity. And so I told people, I said, people say, how's it going? I said, sucks. I'm in a rut. And I said to everybody, it was like a social experiment for 2 weeks. I'm in a rut. And it was horrifying for 2 weeks. Yeah, everything sucks. You kill yourself. It's never going to get better. Business is horrible. Don't ever do this again.
Listening to emo music.
Oh, yeah, or worse. Looking in the mirror like, what am I doing? But it was one of the best things I ever did, which was just really protect that negative energy, right? Like, some people don't know how to support it, right? And so, protect that at all costs. But also, I'll tell you a funnier story, which was I was recently in New York on a bachelor party, and I had some really challenging business news. And talked to a friend and said, man, feeling like a failure. And he just starts laughing on the other side of the phone. He's just cackling like a little kid. He goes, yeah, Dan Guest, failure, same sentence. Get up, grow up, go have fun in New York. And it was like one of the most inspiring conversations I've had in such a long time, but just humbling as well of like, you're going to get past any problem that you have. And so I'll share a gift with all of you, but it's September 12th now, 2024. You're all sitting in this room in the morning, and there's no problem to date that you haven't solved. There's no problem to date that you haven't solved. Might have cost money and it might have upset somebody, but you haven't not solved the problem. So any problem tomorrow, this afternoon, or a year from now, you're going to solve it. So be calm and find that solution, and find people that want to get to the solution rather than dwell on the problem.
So I'm going to skip over our next question just because I think we've already touched on it. But I want to speak to work-life balance and how you balance your business commitments with your personal commitments, because obviously it takes a significant amount of time and energy to start and run businesses. And I want to get your insight on how you balance that with your personal life.
I was hoping these two could tell me that. I've probably been called out as a workaholic, and probably internally, like in the company as well as personally. I think right now the thing that I'm trying to work on, and the thing that is helping me, is just putting the personal stuff into my calendar, blocking that time out, And doesn't have to be tomorrow, can be a month from now, can be 2 months from now. But at least if it's in there, it's a reminder, wait, I haven't seen this person, or I haven't visited my parents, or I haven't had dinner with this friend in over 2 months. It's there, it's a reminder if you need to reschedule because that happens, at least it's pretty soon and it's not 6 months from now.
Balance. Stupid statement. Yeah, I think it's dumb. You're doing what you.
Valid answer.
Yeah, it's dumb. Period. No, you're doing what you want to do. Do what you want to do. Do more of what you want to do, not what you have to do. We get to wake up today and see all you beautiful faces. I was so excited to come here. I got up at 5:15 coming in from Toronto, just thinking about, not even about speaking, but about who I get to see today. And some people might call that crazy. Get people that don't call it crazy in your life. But I love the concept around scheduling. And I'll leave it with, what are 10 habits you do when you're at your best as a whole? And make sure that you put those in your calendar often and frequent and non-negotiable. So one of the best things that I did was I started scheduling my weekends. And for anybody that knows me, when I don't drink for a month or two and I stop off with different types of croissants or donuts in the morning at 8 a.m., just seeing what you're doing. Those are just good habits. So if I have a friend in England, and I went there one time, and every Thursday night they go out with their friends. Friday morning they go for breakfast and get haircuts. I said, "You do this every week?" I said, "Yeah, man." I'm like, "It's expensive, no?" He goes, "When do you feel your best?" Fuck, after a haircut. So make sure you're doing that frequent and often. But in terms of like work-life balance, if you're trying to do something or build something, you're gonna go crush it. So I always say I live for excess, not balance.
Guess it's a good thing I got my hair cut.
I was going to say, who has the better feeling?
We'll do a poll later. When it comes to balance, so yeah, if you're trying to do anything exceptional, there's not going to be balance. It's going to be one way or the other. I still had a relationship at the time when I spoke about 120 hours a week. Like that was a week, not a month, that I was doing my very first business. I was dating my now wife. Still really rack my head on how that relationship even survived, because it was get home, sleep, wake up, go. Probably the happiest I've ever seen her, actually, now that I think about it. I would attribute all of the amount of freedom that I have to come to events early, late, on weekends, and do some of the things that I'm able to do. I attribute it to my wife and my children. For anybody that doesn't know, I'm married and I have 3 young boys. So they now know how to disassemble a house. They just haven't learned yet how to put it all back. That's what it's like to have 3 boys. But for me to have that and to feel confident in having that, I summarize it with one word, and I'd say presence. And I say that with passion and power, because I believe there's a lot that comes with the word presence. Do you have a cell phone on you? You have to see your cell phone for a sec. Sorry, guys. So if I'm up here talking to you guys right now, and I have a cell phone in my hand, Simon Sinek actually does this example really well in one of his speeches. So right now I'm talking to you guys, I have a phone in my hand. It's not buzzing, it's not going off, I'm not checking it. But if I was to ask you, do you think you're the most important thing to me right now? What would you think? Pay attention to when you're walking around your house, when you're around your friends, when you're in social areas. A lot of us tend to have our phones in our hand for no reason. It's not on, it's not doing anything, it's serving no purpose. But what it is, it's just making people feel like they're not important, because the moment that phone dings and goes off, you're not present with that conversation. The way that I've always looked at it with my children is 20 minutes spent with me building a fort or playing Lego or painting with them is far better than 3 hours sitting on the couch where we're both on our devices. It's not about the time spent, it's about the quality of time that you're spending with the person. So whether it's my children, my wife, or my friends, put the phone away, like be present in it. Take interest in each and every person. That's been something really important to being able to have the freedom I have.
Took the watch off, please.
So a rising tide raises all ships, and never has that been truer than in today's world for our industry, where we're constantly fighting government and people that don't believe in us and who think that we're doing good work. So what can we do to foster and strengthen our business community, especially as young people, bringing other young people into the industry and into the business community and helping them to succeed?
I think it's important that each and every one of us, when we're given the opportunity to be in front of some younger individuals that are looking to get into the business, carry with you being of service to those individuals. I can remember when I was younger and I'm in groups like this, large areas, and you've got somebody up there speaking, and possibly to some, they might actually look at us three in a very similar manner where maybe it's intimidating to approach them. Maybe you hold them at a higher status. Knowing that could be the case, I find with the younger generation, I try to invite young people into the conversation. I try to invite them out into gatherings like this because they're no different than you and I. We're just maybe a little bit further ahead with our experience. So I'm always trying to carry with myself being of service to them and opening doors as often as possible. The other one too is, have you ever thought of somebody that you look up to, but then when you get into a conversation, you're a little shaky, you're a little nervous, but they take full interest in who you are, and you're like, well, why is this person interested in me? Why is he asking me so many questions? It comes to a phrase that I once heard, which is be interested, not interesting. Again, it's be interested and not interesting. And what that does to a younger person coming up is when I'm standing there, maybe they look up to me for what I've accomplished, and I'm sitting there not speaking a word about who I am, but I'm not finding out where'd you grow up? What school did you go to? What kind of classes were you interested in? And start digging deeper. They start seeing that there's a commonality, and they start feeling comfortable. And I think to myself that that's most likely going to build them to be more confident to be in front of more rooms like this going forward.
So building on that, I think it's exactly this. It's fostering events like this where people can get together. The person sitting beside you might be going through the same challenge that you had no idea, but you wouldn't have had the opportunity to sit down and get to know them. And kind of going back to one of my earlier stories, and call me naive, but I think part of me thinking that I belong here was having to get past, I don't look like everyone else up here. And something else that I'm trying to embrace is representation. I think it's important for young people to know that there is a space, there is a quality about someone else that they look up to, that they fit and belong here.
So I'll give you my cheat code, and I've used it against some of you, so bear with me. But young people become old people. People with no experience end up having experience. So when you're here, who doesn't own a business in here? Put your hand up. All right. And who does? Okay. Talk to each other. Right? So that person that's an entry level in building communities or in the development space, I'll point out Caitlin. So Caitlin and I went to high school down the back. Right? Go McNabb. Go Lions.
That's what I was looking for.
Yeah. Go Lions. So I knew Caitlin we knew each other as kids, right? And now we're both pretty established in our industries and our communities, and both have some pull. Go talk to someone like Caitlin at that entry level position, because eventually she's going to be the one calling the shots. And now you're going to have that relationship that's been together for 15 years because you're the only one that talked to them at an event, right? Only the one that took them seriously. And so it's a little bit of a cheat code. I'll share it with you because I've used it on some of you. And it's great because you've built these festered relationships that are so deep. And then the second thing is there's bring your friends to where you are and see if they fit in. Let them make the decisions, but offer the opportunity to go to the events together. I'm very fortunate enough to have some of my great friends come to these events. Heartwood's not here, but the Heartwood renovations, they're the only reason I actually joined the association. I was like, how do I join a builders association? I'm not a builder. I had no idea that I could join. And when I did and I found out, I can see some of the faces that are here. You're all coming with me. So, bring your friends to where you are and see if they fit in. I think it's a great opportunity.
Okay, final question, I promise. If you could speak to your younger self before you got into business or started your careers, what piece of advice would you give and what would you say?
This came at a later point in my life where I figured it out, where people are like, move in silence and show results. I learned very quickly that, tell everybody about your ideas and see how stern you are at making them happen. So manifestation for me was huge. So I'd just say manifest your goals into reality and tell as many people as you can and see if you're a man of your word or a woman of your word or not. And it's a great strategy.
I'll kind of wrap this up into a couple of things you've already touched on today, but I'll say again, network. It's important to network. For me, I didn't have anyone to look up to growing in this industry. I was a customer in this industry. So, and I was never the most confident. I never felt like I was a polished speaker, but throwing yourself in there, doing things that make you uncomfortable, it used to scare me to walk into a room like this. But then I realized all you needed was one person. There's one person you can find you can make a connection with or get comfortable with. You see them at the next event. They introduce you to another person, and that's literally just the basis of how networking works.
Trust in yourself. That's one thing that has carried me to where I am today, is having an uncompromising trust in my ability to get through whatever challenge is about to come in front of me. The other one, there's a little quote, "This too shall pass." I think Tom Hanks was in an interview and said it really well. So given that phrase, that "this too shall pass," can be used for the good and the bad. So when things are great, and things are going and the chips are stacking in your favor, be humble enough to know that it's gonna pass. So bask in the joy that you're enjoying at that moment. But then on the flip side of the coin, is things will get bad. You're gonna lose a loved one, something's not gonna go your way, a contract's not gonna get signed, but that's also not gonna last. So don't hold on to it with everything, because you just gotta let these things go. The good and the bad, you enjoy when it's good, and when it's bad, you just gotta let it go, so.
Thank you so much for coming today. Your insights were, I think, extremely helpful for me, and I'm sure for everybody else in this room. I may have learned more today than I did in my entire undergrad, so you can bill me for that. Thank you as well to all our partners and our breakfast sponsor, Empire Mortgage Group. Our association would not be able to hold these events without your support. So thank you very much. And of course, thank you to everybody in this room for coming and being involved in the association. As was mentioned, these events are so crucial to keep our business community strong, and never has that been more important in today's economic climate. And finally, of course, thank you to Cindy, the one and the only, for putting these events on. These go swimmingly, but the amount of work that goes into them beforehand is a testament to Cindy. So thank you, Cindy. Let's